Recording started.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you can hear me, ladies. So, this is a new lecture. Walaikum salam. Just a second. I'll fix it. I hope it's clear now. Is it? Otherwise, you check the settings from your computer or mobile. So today we are meeting for a new modern literature course. Lecture, because this is a course already. And last time we finished Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. We talked about the trend or the movement under modernism, which is post-colonialism, post-colonial literature. We checked how the novel is a response to colonialism and to imperialism. We also talked about postmodern literature, its characteristics, and the last point I talked about is how we are going to apply this and understand postmodernism in the novel the Last Orders or Last Orders. So today I'm going to move to talk about Last Orders, the novel. Just a second, I need a couple of seconds to check and access my material. Thank you. Okay, so let's start by talking about Graham Swift, the writer of Last Orders, and see how he applied postmodernism and how he's considered a postmodernist by checking the main aspects in the novel. So Graham Swift has been considered for a long time one of England's most promising young writers. He was young, talented, full of potential, and he has been classified and admitted as one of England's most promising literary figures. His works are very rich, and he wrote main 4 novels and a collection of short stories entitled Waterland. Waterland has been considered by many critics to be Graham Swift's best book and best literary work. And it has been actually translated into more than 10 languages. Graham Swift is actually a postmodern author, and there are many aspects to be learned from his writings. In Graham Swift's case, we need to look, and we would be interested to look at the entirety of the work and how the work is actually to be viewed even chronologically by a distinct progression. So when we look at his work, at the plot, we can view a chronological aspect, the movement of the events progresses visibly chronologically, but it has a very distinct progression. The progression is very rich. It has much maturity, and actually he has a rich style and a rich substance. One aspect, one technique he uses the most, and it's very obvious, and it's clearly postmodern, is that he writes from a single coherent point of view. So he expresses his opinions, his attitudes, and he integrates a lot with the character in the novel or in the short stories. And actually, what he makes the characters say is an extension of his own beliefs held by him as an author. Another also aspect to learn is that he has fixed recurrent major themes. They are around 5 to 6 major themes, and they are all related to the battle of genders, history, generation gap, and war. And these ideas are actually coupled to images of war, images of history, and he lends himself in discussing philosophical aspect related to life, to experience, to storytelling. The narration actually in his novels usually has sort of compassion with the characters. So he gets into the character's psyche, inside thoughts and feelings, and he tries to tackle what they think, what they echo, what they feel, there is also a concentration on the clash between human beings and daily life, especially that he is writing after the Second World War and how human life was devastated and chaotic. So most of his writings also has a coherent body of chapters, and he devotes his readers to imagine endless themes. Even if they are familiar with the theme, they are going to rediscover it in the way the author wants them to. He has a lot of repetition in his writing, but his repetition is not boring, and they offer sort of a steady developing style of the novel. And Swift was the very first novelist and writer to introduce a new technique, which is to give a new life to his characters in the way they reconsider their problems and they try to find a purpose out of their life without giving a fixed, conclusive answer. Is this clear? Okay, let's see now how the novel itself, Last Orders, it's a very recent novel. Postmodern, contemporary. It was written in 1996. It has all 4 to 5 important characters. Jack Arthur Dodds, he's the deceased character, and he has been actually a Sun family butcher since 1903. We have Vince Dodds, son of Jack and Amy. We have Ray, or he was called Lucky. And we have Lenny Tate, the grocer. We have Vic Tucker, the funeral director. And we have Amy Dodds, Jack's wife, and mother of June. And June is a mentally disabled child. We have also Mandy Black, the wife of Vince. Actually, this novel is classified and discussed as a very surprising novel. It has a lot of surprise, and mainly because of the very selection and choice of protagonists by the author. They are all common men, average, uneducated, and they are all from London. They have been very close friends, and they meet all after many challenges and many disputes and many senses of betrayal and fracture in their friendship. They happen to all meet to carry out the last order of their deceased friend and to dispose his ashes at the end of Margate Pier. So the selection of these common people as protagonists is a surprise, because this is not typical of Swift's style. He's not used to choose actually common man or common people. And text has a very peculiar selection of a plot because their memories and also their talks, their dialogue are juxtaposed. They are coming one before the other or one above the other in a sense that creates sort of fracture because this is how their life is. And also you can't decide whose voice, whose narrator is in the novel. It's a collage. It's like things are glued together. Voices are glued together, and they are all voicing their bitterness about betrayal and failure. So it's sort of what we call a retrospective prose. And when writing the novel, it was actually hard for Graham Swift to pick a specific voice. Many critics say that the main narrator is actually Swift, but we can hear many other voices and narrators that he chooses to help him in creating a moment which is very complex, a very complex moment. Another also striking and extremely surprising feature in the novel, which is how it actually imitates a language of the common people. It's a very vernacular, common, informal, and spicy language, as they say. The novel's title is very also important to look at, Last Orders. Last Orders is a synonym of Last Wish, and it's the last wish of Jack Dodd's London butcher, who wants his ashes to be chucked off the end of Margaret Pyre. And in the words of his friend Ray Johnson, and the main narrator also, or one of the main narrators in the novel, this is actually a melancholic, a very sad, morbid, very gloomy starting point for the storytelling. So the title also refers to the location from which the friends meeting is going to start, which is actually a pub, a very local pub, the Coach and Horses, its name, South London, where Jack's friends ordered their last drink before embarking on their trip. So the story begins in this East Southern London pub, and Jack Dodds, he was effectively dead, but he was still alive, present in the memory and in the final moments of his life, in his friend's memory. And when his ashes were carried away by the wind at the very end of Margaret Pyre, all the memories are getting back alive again. So actually it's ironic how his death is bringing his family and friends together in their favorite pub, in their favorite shape, in their funny manner, humor, and ease. Actually, they are going through shared memories. They overlap as the trip progresses, and there are unexpected stories coming up, but finally Jack's last orders and his death actually is bringing all these people together. So the death of someone is bringing alive other memories and other smaller lives and stories. The participants, of course, in this journey is his close friends, all in their late 60s. Ray Johnson, an insurance clerk and gambler; Vic Tucker, the undertaker, and Vic is quite close to Jack because their family business is situated next to each other. We have the ex-boxer Lenny Tate, the driver is Vince Dodds, and the motor dealer, and also an adopted son of Jack and Amy, Vince. And he picks up the other three in actually a compassionate sort of journey. The dominant voice in the novel is that of Ray. He narrates almost all the chapters related to the progress of the journey and its various detours. And Vince, who is their adopted son, is the second most frequently heard voice. Later, we have Lenny and Vic, Amy, Jack's wife, who is also present with Jack. Her presence is quite frequent in the memories of the four men. And we have 2 chapters only given in narration to Mandy, Vince's wife, and 1 to Jack himself. Amy actually declines to join this tour or this journey. So she is on her own. She has her own journey. She decided that day to visit her daughter June. And June has always been living in an institution for mentally disabled people all her life. Amy has been visiting her regularly twice a week, and Jack has always ignored the existence of his daughter. So Amy is trying to recollect and make her daughter forget about the conflicts arising from these different choices. So one parent is deciding to visit her daughter, and the other parent is ignoring the daughter. The narrative frame, the plot, and the storyline, you can tell that they are chronological and they are also geographical, because there is a sequence of day trip from London to Margate, interrupted only by the past memories of the 7 narrators. And the journey and its cause is actually Jack's recent death, and how it serves as the frame for the gradual emergence of other relationships, intertwined histories in his local community. So every time there is a new time, a new progress, and a new place, this is actually mentioned at the beginning of the chapter in its own heading. And this traces the 4 friends in a very visual way. The narration of this novel also ranges from the personal to the stream of consciousness technique. So as if you had a camera eye technique. And the shift from the past to the present, past, the personal, and also the collective or group are all different techniques mixed together. They overlap, they support each other, they contrast each other. It's what we call the camera eye technique. And the head of this camera is actually Ray. He is narrating different situations related to the progress of the journey. When it comes to the stream of consciousness technique, this is more evident in the chapters given to Amy and Vince when they both relate current situation with memories in the past and how the past is affecting every moment in the present. So Amy and Vince also are exposing an emotional value for the whole group. They have harsh feelings sometimes towards Jack, the main character who passed away, and this is very clear from their narration. And Amy's narration might be confusing for the reader. Her speech is very chaotic, it's not homogeneous, and it's full of scorning and blaming and hiding. At times, you don't know whether she's talking to Jack in the present or in the past. Also, another interesting and very postmodern feature of this narration is how it is sequenced, how the author on purpose leaves one chapter open and then a couple of chapters later in the text he continues what he did not say in the first chapter. So there are many interrupted ideas, and this forces the reader to follow, to absorb the novel very attentively, try to scan the pages in order to draw certain connections, links among particular chapters. Swift, the author, is inserting lyrics of popular songs within the text. It's giving it a certain cultural aspect, and there is a growing sense of symbols, creation, very rich creation of symbols, and of course this is a very remarkable feature of postmodernism as well. A number of symbols in the novel, and actually there is the recurrent royal blue color, and also we have the Mercedes car, the low speed of the car, the silence inside the car. All these are of items of symbolic use.
يعني إذا حبوا يعني البنات يرسلوا لي هي على أساس ننسقها تصير كلها ورا بعض تفريغها.
Also,
ورا بعض تفريغها في مجلد واحد.
Selection of names of characters, their characters' names or the characters' names is very symbolic.
الإيميل المشتركة بعتوها على عندي أنسقها أول بأول لما تخلص أرفعها. What do you think؟ ما أحب وجع الجلد، بس أنا عندي زي كذا تقولي ايش obsessive disorder. لازم حتى لو بنزلها من البنات انا لازم كله يكون تنسيق واحد وترتيب واحد عشان اعرف اجمع. ومن كده في دماغي زي قلتلهم كده لو كان كل واحدة بتنسيق معين وكل واحدة بلون وكل واحدة بشيء ما عارفة اذاكر.
This technique and the use of also symbols, both the narration technique and the use of symbols, they emphasize the main theme of the novel, which is friendship, betrayal, and failure. In this novel, betrayal is presented in various senses, and the crucial instance, the main important betrayal is that of Jack. He betrayed both June and Amy when he insisted on forgetting about this poor girl. And another instance of betrayal is seen in Ray's affair with Amy. This betrayal is even double because Amy is Jack's wife and Ray is his best friend. And because of this affair, Amy neglects also her regular visits to June, her daughter, and this also a betrayal of the mother to her daughter by being neglecting. Ray is also betrayed by his wife who leaves him because of another man, and all four men feel betrayed by their daughter who somehow did not fulfill their father's expectations. If we turn to this idea, we can find that, for example, we have all daughters failing to actually to be raised up to their father's desires. Jack, the main character, the dead friend, also failed. He failed to have changed in Amy's eyes, and he failed to make her happy. Amy connects this failure actually to Jack's unwillingness to visit his daughter. All other male characters, they fail also to get things in order with their daughter or daughters. So there is one also main betrayal, which is the betrayal of Vince, the adopted son, to his father Jack, because the wish of Jack to have his ashes chucked off at the end of Margaret Pyre were not actually or was not actually respected by Vince, because he took some of them, of the ashes of his father's body, and chucked it a bit off at Wick's farm. The author actually closes the novel with actually another discourse, a completely new open idea, which is the fineness of a man compared to the infiniteness of the wind. What is one man's life worth compared to the whole life and to the whole history? There is a very nice and beautiful quote at the end of the novel. Then I throw the last handful and the seagulls come back on a second chance, and I hold up the jar, shaking it like I should chuck it out to sea too. A message in a bottle. Jack Arthur Dodds, save our souls. And the ash and I carried in my hands, which was the Jack who once walked around, is carried away by the wind, whirled away by the wind, till the ash becomes wind and the wind becomes Jack. What's what we are made of? This is a very beautiful concluding quote. Are you following? I was not looking at the chat. Did you hear what I said? So probably Maram and I don't know who else could not listen. They were asking about the mic. The mic is open. The voice is clear. So the two postmodern techniques are the narration and the use of symbol, how they emphasize the idea of the theme, failure and betrayal, questioning man's existence in comparison to life and history in general, and another sound? I don't know. أنا ما سمعت ولا شيء تاني والله كنت مركزة في المحاضرة. I don't know. I was talking, the mic was open. I thought that the voice is reaching all of you. I don't know about any other voice. Yeah, definitely I didn't hear it. The most important thing is my sound or my voice was clear. هذا أهم ما في الموضوع. So to conclude, we would say that Last Orders is one of Graham Swift's best writing, and he was nominated for the Booker Prize, one of the most prestigious literary awards, and critics think that he deserves it well. He builds a very complex postmodern atmosphere in which the whole storyline progresses in a very thoughtful reverie or dream-like narration. He uses a very rich frame of narration, and he keeps the reader attentive. He employs all postmodern features from frame of narration, sequences of narration, juxtaposition of events, use of symbols and symbolism. There is no main narrator because we are in a postmodern novel. There are 6 or 7 people who tell the story collaboratively together, and this is also a very postmodern technique of writing. And actually, this technique allowed him to create a vivid, distinctive characters, and also it made the approach to the theme gradually intensifying. He invites us to contemplate on the course of our lives, issues in human beings' life, and he has been consistent in his choice. Is that clear? Okay. So give me a couple of seconds. I need to move to something else. I will continue to talk about last orders. There are a few more aspects, postmodern aspects, techniques in the novel, which I want to emphasize. So, the first aspect is actually the interior monologue. So, the first postmodern aspect or technique used in Graham Swift's Last Order is interior monologue. So, Last Orders is a novel full of talk, and you find many conversations between the characters. The talk between characters has different types, and it's also a novel in which characters are speaking to themselves. In each chapter of the novel, we find a page or two long narrated in the first person point of view by one of the novel's characters. And what is actually surprising and new for the reader is how this talk of the character to himself or herself is designed as an interior monologue. All monologues obey the rules of speech. They contain what cannot or will not be said aloud. When you talk to yourself, usually you say things that you don't tell other people. So this is what these characters are obviously doing. So we have, for example, Vince, the adopted son of Jack, when he was driving his dead father's 3 friends to scatter his ashes. He keeps telling us about his cars, and Vince actually is selling cars, and he makes a trade. He chose to, despite his father's will or acceptance. Now, what he is actually repeating while driving is that the following quote: "It could do 130 without a wobble, though not in the new crossroad it won't." So he's obsessed about his career. And another also monologue, interior monologue, is Amy monologue addressed to her brain-damaged or mentally retarded daughter. They are, of course, unresponsive of all her regrets. She speaks mostly about how Jack, her dead husband, has failed her, how also she is betrayed by her husband's unacceptance of her daughter or their daughter. Vic, his neighbor, he talks about the hidden world of his work and about the fact that death he can share only with his sons, who are to take over his business. Lenny, the unlucky one, describes the humiliation for which he thinks their father is responsible. So interior monologue is an important postmodern technique, and it's actually a very peculiar technique. It allows you to dig into the thoughts and also speaking out loud of the characters. The other aspect is the dialogue. I need to open the file. Can you give me please a couple of seconds? So the second aspect is the dialogue. Of course, the dialogue is the most natural element of fiction. And also, it is set up in the novel in a very artificial way. So the characters in the novel might find words very difficult to be said, and they cannot sometimes easily articulate their thoughts, yet we can obviously feel that there is a talking sense. They are talking sense. They don't lose their way out, or they don't emerge in nonsense. Graham Swift's dialogue throughout the novel is carefully arranged, even if it seems random and overheard by the reader, but it's very carefully arranged. It's actually a conversation that is very essential. It's very straightforward, and it is at the same time charged with things that cannot be said. And through the dialogue, we discover much of the conflict between characters. There is an explicit and at times inexplicit conflict, complicated memories, and also there is a sense of anger about betrayal and failure. The vocabulary is very straightforward, and at times we find generalization, no specific words. At times, the reader needs to make a lot of effort to understand what's going on. Is that clear? Now, the other aspect is revelation. When a secret or a hidden truth is revealed. So, in last orders, we have few revelations done. Some of them are easily accepted, satisfying, and some of them are irritating. So in the novel, while the four friends of Jack are sitting in the car, in the back of the car, in his son's car, they give the impression that they know plenty of things about each other. And we actually don't know as much as they do. We have hidden facts, hidden matters of history also, and many shared memories. We feel that Swift in the novel manages these revelations very well, and he is controlling much of the dialogue. Actually, we have the impression that we readers are just outsiders. We are given just a glimpse of knowledge when the characters decide to share it with us. We have also a growing sense of fracture between the characters. The more they know about each other, the more they are actually fractured. This doesn't make them together. This doesn't bring them together. It makes them rather not that close of each other. So revelations also are in the first person narration, and they are packed and the most striking revelation is the affair Ray had with Amy, Jack's wife. We have seen at the beginning of the novel how Ray and Amy are alone together, and in Ray's narration, he doesn't mention this story, but some secrets are just revealed. And the story he brings up dates of 20 years already. By the end of the novel, Ray becomes convinced that Jack himself has long lived with this knowledge, that also he has debts that his wife doesn't know about, and he thinks that the relationship was never steady, but there is always something that brings them together, And Jack also is shown to be a man who keeps everything to himself. He was the person who pretended not to know everything, although he did. And as a dead man, he's still living in each other character's revelation, memory, and recollection. The last point I want to draw your attention to before we take a break for Maghrib prayers is the cliché, the use of cliché. Do you know the word cliché? Okay, good. So the last aspect is the use of cliché. So in the novel, we already mentioned that there are many voices, many speakers, and all of them are involved in the events they narrate. All of the characters, surprisingly, are uneducated, middle-class Londonians. They expect us to imagine them when they were speaking. Sometimes they are silent, sometimes they just involve in a monologue, but when they directly involve in a dialogue, they expect us to know many things about them. We have the use of cliches. So the problem with the novel is that at times the speaker takes the reader as knowledgeable about the cliches used. So, for example, we have Ray telling us how the breakup of his marriage happened after the death of his father-in-law and his daughter's emigration to Australia. And he knows that he knows that we might have feelings for that, and he doesn't involve us in more details. And the last point is that how the common also phrases and sentences used, they focus on one common truth, which is mortality. So characters are brought together to know that their sharpest pain is coming from their knowledge that they are ordinary men and that they have a finite time to live. And they are convinced of death more than they are convinced of love. Probably with these revelations about failure, they fail each other and they betray each other. Probably there is less space for love left. And towards the end of the novel, there is actually a joke and at the same time a piece of wisdom that Jack remembers from his trade as a butcher. So it's the character one of the characters remembering it in the voice of Jack. What you've got to understand is the nature of the goods, which is perishable. So actually this is a reflection on human life. It's just like goods. It has a finite time and it's perishable. So is that clear? Can you hear me, please? Yes. Okay. So, last time I said that you will be given bonus questions or a bonus 1 to 2 bonus questions on the short story by Shirley Jackson, The Lottery. And I think all of you liked the idea. Okay, so you have one novel cancelled. It's no longer with us. Lord of the Flies. Just don't prepare it. A direct question about the theme, about the author, about the use of symbol, etc. So we are left with 2 plays. What I'm going to do is that today I'm going to introduce the background of one play, and on Wednesday, inshallah, I'm going to discuss the play and discuss the background of the second play, and I will schedule a makeup lecture to discuss the final play. Is that clear؟ يعني اليوم عندنا الباكجراوند من البلاي الأولى Lord of the Flies كتبتها. So today عندنا background من البلاي الأولى and يوم الربوع إن شاء الله عندنا the discussion of the play itself. والباقي من المحاضرة بإذن الله يوم الربوع في discussion من الباكجراوند حق البلاي الثانية. راح أبرمج second lecture, makeup lecture I mean, to discuss the play, the second play اللي already نكون أخذنا الباكجراوند حقتها يوم الربوع. بالنسبة للبونس it's not a novel, it's a short story. Shirley Jackson is the writer and the title is The Lottery. The cancelled one, the cancelled novel is Lord of the Flies. Is that clear? واضح? Okay, so now I'll give you a break for Maghrib and then we are going to continue. I'll start the background of the first play. Take 5 to 10 minutes. You're welcome, thank you. So ladies, can you hear me? I hope you do. So I think you had quite a long break, and I guess you finished your prayers. تقبل الله منكم جميعا. And let's resume our lecture. Okay, so as I mentioned, now I'm going to move to the background of the first play studied or included in this lecture, and also you don't consider the novel Lord of the Flies as I mentioned. So the play we are going to take is Waiting for Godot. And the trend or the movement is still the postmodernism, and the specific trend is existentialism. Is that clear? So the trend, as I mentioned, is existentialism or theater of the absurd. So the first point is theater of the absurd. So theater of the absurd is actually a reaction. So what we are studying usually in terms of trend or movement, it comes as a response, a reaction to a previous trend. So any trend builds on what comes before it, and it actually continues what it sees as a gap in what comes before. So theater of the absurd was a reaction to the disappearance of the spiritual dimension from the daily life after the Second World War and on. And also, it was an attempt to restore the importance of the myth and of the ritual. It was also an attempt to make man, capital M, man, the humankind in general, aware of his condition, of his reality. So it tackled the lost sense of man in his daily life and his sense of wonder. Man is wondering about his role, his existence. There is a sense of anxiety, anguish, a questioning of man's position in the community and in the cosmic order. So this expression and this attempt, this reaction, had aspects. It had a form. When you read a text that focuses on these aspects, you are going to notice unusual use of language. Usually language, as we know it, is a means of communication, and it represents continuous, structured, ordered reality. So this reality is fragmented. The daily life has no sense. So the tool that expresses it can no longer be in its normal or usual shape. So there was use of disrupted language. There was in the first place a distrust in language, and there was an accusation to language that it's no longer a means of clear communication. Absurd drama also used cliches, slogan, technical jargon, and just daily speech. And most of the speech did not make sense of its own. There was a growing also conscious, there was a growing consciousness that theater should continue to be part of the internal world of man, and it should raise the problems of the humankind and how man was considered also a metaphorical creature in a wordless language. And theater also should express how language is incapable of putting into words man's condition, or the condition of man, living in anxiety, fragmentation, fracture, and anguish. Is that clear? The second point is existentialism. So when we talk about the theater of the absurd, there is an aspect, another important aspect, which is existentialism. Existentialism is not simply an aspect, it's a whole movement in which we find the theater of the absurd. So when we talk about existentialism, there are few points which we mean which we need to discuss. First of all, in existentialism, what we tackle is the human being life and how human beings are what they feel, how the life they are living is pointless and meaningless. Also, existentialism questioned all the principles and concepts, ideas that came with 18th century Enlightenment. The Enlightenment, or the Age of Reason, came with certain principles focusing and depending on reason, how the human mind can understand everything and solve problems, and the belief in science, etc. Existentialism came to actually question the principles of enlightenment. Existentialism also is diffuse philosophy. You cannot actually define it in one way, and it conveys also broad ideas, and it includes many thinkers and philosophers. You have Martin Heidegger from Germany, you have also Friedrich Nietzsche, you have Albert Camus and Jean-Paul Sartre, French philosopher, you have Russian philosopher Fyodor Dostoevsky, etc. So there are many names who engaged in raising these ideas and this line of thought. So existentialism also came as a reaction, a revolt against rationalism and romanticism. Existentialism's main principle is rooted in the rejection of rationalism, because for existentialist philosophers, rationalism, the use of ration, the use of reason, failed to solve the real problems of society, and it failed to show the limited nature of science, and it also failed to show the condition, the real condition of the modern man being a helpless and hopeless creature. And existentialist thinkers also, they wrote pure philosophical statements, and they expressed these views not in philosophy really, but rather in literature, whether novels, plays, or in art in general, cinema, and also in theater. The existentialist themes, although we said that existentialism is made of many beliefs, a wide range of beliefs, but we can still talk about the recurrent themes like anxiety, being an existence, examination of the inner state of the human mind, meaninglessness and absurdity, as well as individuality. And what existentialism is trying to find is meaning in a meaningless world. So for existentialism, there is one controlling truth, which is how the individual is facing an absurd universe that doesn't have one meaning, and that doesn't have meaning at all. So there is also this idea actually was expressed in Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett, and this idea is represented by two primary characters, Gogo and Didi, and the dialogue is very irrational, fractured, absurd, and they wait for a non-existent person. They are actually waiting for Godot. It's absurd that they are waiting for this non-existing person, and this non-existing person veils everything we wait for in life, and that doesn't come. We live about, or certainly for certain things, we wait for certain things to come, but the idea of the play is that we actually wait for non-existent things, and it's like an illusion. We push ourselves to believe in something coming, and it doesn't really come. Is that clear? So I'm going to stop here for today. I'm done with the background of the novel. Next time, inshallah, on Wednesday, we'll discuss the play, and we'll take the background of the second play, and I will schedule lecture on Sunday at 2, inshallah, on Saturday at 2. And of course, I'll email you about it. So till I meet you, inshallah, on Wednesday, I hope you have good evening and wish you all the best with your other lectures. See you, inshallah, on Wednesday. Thank you so much for your participation and attendance. Thank you.